Wait a second. Let's see how we got here. That's better. Hello my loves, welcome back. In this video I'll be going in depth on how I create commissioned artwork, like the steps from meeting a client to shipping. I will also be going over the pros and cons of commissioned work. Now please note that my process isn't the only process and there are many ways to go about commissions. This is just my way. And with that said, let's dive in. But first, let's make some vanilla chai. And don't come for me for the way I'm making my tea, okay? I don't really know how to do it, but this is just the way I've been doing it and it works for me. It's delicious. So this client reached out to me via Instagram because she had seen some of my work on TikTok and she wanted to have a commissioned portrait of her father-in-law, of her in-laws, for her husband's birthday. She was very excited and she pretty much gave me free reign to do what I wanted to do or what I needed to do to make the commission turn out in a way that would be satisfying for both of us. Now that we have our refreshments, it's time to sit down and get to sketching. I'm working on creating the base sketch for the painting, so this is using her references. But before we get to that point, in our initial conversations we discussed what size would work for her, because size is really important when it comes to commissions because that also affects the shipping cost as well as my material cost. Hey Bo. And if we're going to factor in costs, it also costs more for the more people that are in the portrait because it adds to the complexity, especially if like these reference photos are not taken, like for instance, if one person is taken in a separate photo and the other person is in another photo and then you have to combine them and think about the lighting. Yeah, it's a whole complicated process. So now that the initial sketch phase is over and I have gotten approval on my layout, it's time to start prepping the canvas. So this is a custom stretch canvas, so I have to gesso it to prime it for painting. This process is done 3 times with sanding in between each layer. The sanding is really necessary and it's really hard on my ears when I'm doing it, but it has a really satisfying end result. So here I'm just lighting up my sketch. I had put some little triangles on the file so I know where everything needs to line up to make sure it was, accurate. I'm using a carbon tracing paper to trace the drawing to my canvas, because it's small enough I don't need to use my projector to get any kind of accuracy. So while we're doing this, we can talk about the pros, or some of the pros of commission work. A commission is something very personal between you and your client, and it usually is something very important to them. It can be something that will brighten their homes, bring their families together, or elicit the memory of a loved one. For this particular case, her father-in-law had passed away and she wanted to give her husband the gift of being able to see him again. And so it was very personal for her and she was very grateful, and I think all she really wanted was just to have a picture of him that her husband could see in their living room every day. So now that we have our base layer down for our sketch, we can go in and refine it, because typically tracings do not come out as nice as you think they do. You do have to go in and clean up the edges, refine the shapes, and make sure that everything makes sense, put in shadows, and make the process easier for when you go in to actually add paint. And after this, I sprayed it with a fixative to make sure that nothing would smudge while I painted the base layer, which is what I'm doing right now. It's a mix of vermilion and my cadmium yellow hue, medium hue I think. And it's just, I like to add like a pop of color behind my paintings, and I think that's one of the things that she liked, and so I wanted to make sure I included that for her.
That's too much paint.
GAC 100. It's basically like a paint extender, and it thins out the paint so I don't end up wasting a lot of paint just for the base. Yes, I am using a popsicle stick. I forgot my palette knife in the studio, and I was at home and I was in a pinch, and so that had to solve my problems. Also, I'm just using a squeegee to apply the paint, and that gives it that cool little abstract vibe, as well as not getting paint soaked up into my paintbrush. Sorry about the lighting. It's been raining every day, and I could not find a good time to record this where it wasn't raining. So yeah, these are my paints that I'm going to use. I don't think I'm going to film the actual paint mixing because that part's really tedious, and I don't really think anybody actually wants to see it. If you do, please leave a comment below, and maybe I'll show you guys one day. So now that the base has dried, it's time for me to start this like I start all my other paintings. Dark layers first. And then we can go into the cons of commissions. Typically, commissions come with a due date. Like there is a date that you need to finish this painting by, because the client either needs it for an occasion or they have an idea in their mind when they want this piece. And having a full-time job and other responsibilities, you kind of have to work your schedule around making sure that you get this thing done. For this particular commission, I did not do very well in my time planning. And again, as you know, I am actively trying to work on getting better at time management, because right now I really suck at that. There is also another thing to consider for a con, is that most people have a very specific vision of what they want in their heads, and as artists we also have our own vision for what it is that we're making, and sometimes those ideas don't typically add up. I have not had that issue often with my commission work. I think I've only had that issue with one client, and we did butt heads for a while, but we did come to an agreement eventually. And that process taught me a lot. It taught me a lot of things. It taught me what I need to ask for, what I need to know up front before we even start, and how to basically communicate with my client. And like with every new lesson learned in life, I learned something from every commission I've done, and it has helped me compile a criteria for things that I need in order to execute this project for you. It's also why I say there are many ways to go about a commission, and mine is definitely not the right way. It's just the way that I get things done, because everyone has learned from their previous experiences and has developed their methods for getting this done. And so this is just the way that I've gotten mine done with the commissions I've been doing for the last 6 years. Also, again, for the lighting, I apologize. My time management skills and preparedness rear their ugly heads. I had prepped this canvas at home, and I was getting ready to take it to the studio, and I forgot it at home. And the drive between the studio and my house is really far, and so I decided to just grab my paints from the studio, take them back home, and paint at home. And again, it was raining, so it was dark, and so this is my lighting, and I'm sorry. I'm trying to be better. So this would be day 4 of working on this commission, and I'm finally back in my studio. This is me after a long day of work. It's time to put in more hours. So far, I'm actually really happy with how it's turning out, and I just am not sure what I'm gonna do about the clothing part, because if we're gonna stick to my style of painting, at least my style right now, I'm not really doing overly detailed clothing. It's more simplified block coloring type thing, and I guess we'll see what happens here. Let's try something. More pros of commission work. You are getting a chunk of money depending on how you're pricing your commissions. You're getting a sum of money in order to create this art. Usually as artists, we're just making art in hopes that someone will buy something from you, or to basically build your portfolio in order to make money. So a commission is money that you're getting for making your art. Somebody wants your specific style of art and they're going to pay you for it. And for most of us who are, struggling artists or just new to the art game and are trying to make a career out of it, this is a big deal. Although it is not the only way you can make money as an artist, for most of us it is the largest chunk of money. And if you have bills, this definitely helps you to be able to pay your bills, as well as maybe put that money back into your art, like to buy more paint or buy new canvases or make prints of something. It definitely helps your business even more than just the advertising of a client. And con, a commission is normally something that you wouldn't think of. It's not something you would do on your own. It's somebody else's idea, not your own vision. And that's one of the things that really messed me up with this commission, is that it wasn't something I was necessarily inspired by. It was something that somebody paid me to do. And while I really wanted to do this for my client, I had a hard time finding the inspirational motivation to execute this piece, which in turn led to my procrastination of this piece. And I have no one to blame but myself, because she gave me ample time to get it done, but I couldn't make myself do it until literally a week and a half before it was due. Story of my life. Anyway, I feel like I've been talking forever, so I'm just gonna let you guys sit and enjoy what's left of this painting, and then I'll come back in to basically fill you in on the shipping process of this. Enjoy! See you at the end. Okay, so I really did not like the way the color on her top looked, so I sprayed it with water and wiped it off. The beauties of acrylic paint is that everything under it is dry, so you don't ruin anything. And then my camera died, so that's what's happening here. And we're back where we started. I'm just doing my finishing touches of my little stripes because they're my current favorite thing to do right now. This is probably day 5 of working on this piece, and ooh, satisfying tape peel. It's also Monday and I need to wrap this painting up, ship it for Wednesday so it can get to her house on Friday. Can we talk about my time management skills? This is a plea for help. Please help me. Anyways, I figured a much lighter color would be better on her dress, and so that's what's happening here. We are now in Tuesday. It is Tuesday night. I work from home on Tuesdays. I also have physical therapy. I am babysitting my niece, and I have just bought my car. A lot of things have happened today, and so I am literally painting this at 12 o'clock. It is midnight, so technically we're on Wednesday, and I am finishing up the little extras and sealing. Again, I apologize for the lighting. It was the best I could do at 1 a.m. Bear with me. I'm just using my satin G-clay varnish to seal this. I always love the sealing process. It brings everything together. It balances out all the paint, all the different glares from the different mediums, even though I use a matte medium for my paints, because it helps me figure out what everything looks like without the glare. So as it's pretty obvious at this point, I have run out of time, and I'm gonna have to save the shipping and wiring to hang part of the commission process for you guys for another video. This part is always my favorite because everything comes together, and I really like how shiny it looks, although I would never want any of my paintings to actually be this shiny finished. This finish does dry a more satin, which is like not glossy but kind of in a little bit. Anyway, you'll see how it looks now. Everything came together, and I'm very happy with how it came out, and I'm grateful for my client for thinking of me and picking me out of all the artists she could have picked. And that's all I have for you guys. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this video.